Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we got ourselves a demo of a track from an act named Glas titled Too Honest. And if we switch over to here, we got ourselves a track here on Music Beat. Now I should note that again this is a demo. I've previously reviewed work from Glas, such as the song Easily, so it's going to be good to check out more. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Yeah, it's a work in progress. I think they're still getting the mixing and mastering done. But for now, let's do it. Let's go.
Baby, can you feel me? No more shivering, no more cold. Cause I'm like, baby, I'm just listening. Here's my shoulder, I'll keep you.
Very legato on the vocals.
Hey, look, maybe I've been distant to you a time or two before. But lately I've been shifting my headspace, and I want you to know I got this thing for you. No, I could never hide my feelings cause I'm real, Lord. But what I mean is I've been thinking about where we about to get a ring for you. Truthfully, you were a dream. An angel without wings. She fighting off these demons in my mind I couldn't see. Day and night, we've been talking, you and me. And every time I feel more peace, I want you in my life permanently. Baby, will you marry? I need to think slow. Could let my thoughts take a seat and try to breathe more. Maybe love is blind, but recently I feel I'm seeing more. She expand my mind past it, simply what I seen on. Hey, let me be forward. Truth be told, I'm struggling with being sure. Not sure what I need, just feel I need more. Apologies for being back and forth, sometimes too honest for my own good. And ironically, ain't really mean that. Truth of the matters, we just two honest people. Let's give them feedback. A rare thing in this world, but damn, I need that. So baby, hop in my front seat and just lean back. Oh, baby, can you feel me? No more shivering, no more cold. Cause I'm like, baby, I'm just listening. Here's my shoulder, I keep you on. And hey, look, baby, I've been distant to you.
Nickel response there.
But lately, I've been shifting my headspace. And I want you to know.
Trade off to note lead.
That's it. I want you to know.
And a dope little fade out there. No, it sounds pretty tight for a track that hasn't had his mixing and mastering finalized. I do dig it. I dig it a lot. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Glas titled Too Honest, the demo. In this section, we're going to provide an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think effectively it's a culmination, a display of all the different angles and feelings and thoughts that Glas is having about this person that's come into their life. She's really important to them, clearly, and they stop short of using the M word. You know, they're saying they should take it slow afterwards. There's like a gentle charisma to the way that we communicate, where simultaneously we have some really sort of sweet, soulful melodies and harmonies there, especially with those upper vocal layers. But in the kind of melodic rap sections that we have in those verses, we're almost conversational with our approach, which I appreciate. There's just it's kind of suave but low key at the same time. And I think that that's a tight rope that you kind of need to balance in music like this in order to be affecting and authentic, and I think that they managed to do that here quite effortlessly. I think the short form factor helps there. I don't know if we could have necessarily justified a longer form track here. I feel like we got the message and story across as we needed to, with enough lyrical and thematic diversity there to carry us across. But ultimately there, it's a very good sort of impression to this track, and I feel like it's got good foundations from a vocal perspective alone. And you know, the idea, especially with the art there that you can see up the top, up there I suppose, of the woman in the coat in the cold there. We talk about like the shivering and getting warmer to each other and closer, and it's just a nice sort of like metaphor for that, I suppose. It's very cool. structurally, outside of just a really competent vocal performance where we're clearly quite comfortable in our vocal range and just voice. Nice additional layering and some overdubs there, where we sort of split the octaves and it's just a bit of power, but like there are also subtle octaves where they're not too present, which I appreciate. Nice bit of legato to mix, some sort of vibrato occasionally there, with some kind of laughter, more sort of humanistic elements as well there, just to kind of break things up in an interesting rhythmic cadence. It's just, you know, having the chorus versus chorus kind of process there where you have like a trade-off to a guitar lead at the end, which I think is just nice and kind of, it's very pretty. You know, it's a very peaceful sounding track there. And when you're talking about this kind of subject matter, you probably want it to be a bit more low key there. There's a sweetness to the kind of single coil, kind of like strat, kind of like bar chords, and the way we play those kind of mildly funky parts there, exploring some sort of pentatonics and scales occasionally, but most are sort of like rhythm oriented. To be fair, we do get a bit more explorative around the 2-minute mark on the guitar there with some palm muting and other little kind of flavorful licks there. But it's kind of low key with its kind of rustic tone there. A little bit of drive, a little bit of grit to it, but nothing too aggressive. The keys are dominant within this track, and I feel like with the extensions that they play harmonically there, and the kind of mellow, measured tone of them, they're quite a nice sort of like flavor and addition alongside the vocals there. They help provide both a ground floor for them, as well as a nice sort of palette and alternate kind of bit of mistiness on the sides. It's a lush sound there with some of the reverbs that you have there, and we don't really have any harsh edges within this track, which I appreciate, especially again considering the subject matter. There's been a lot of thought put into how things culminate and amalgamate. And the keys go up in their range as well occasionally and oscillate, and there's some cool responses there as well in terms of like the vocals and how they kind of peter off with each other there, so they're not the same thing all the time, and it's neat. It's neat. So I think the keys and guitars are played well there. The drums are relatively low key as well there, with a mixture of sort of like gentle kick, snare, and sort of cymbal patterns. And there's like some open hi-hats occasionally. I think to be fair, they're using rims as opposed to snare for a less aggressive tone on the kit, but still. It's like kind of a similar kind of sound on the kit for the most part, like a similar kind of drum beat. There might be some breaks. There are some moments where there are no drums, to be fair, to allow things to float before the next transition, but we're not relying on the crashes to insinuate a sense of transition between parts. We're just allowing it to be smooth. And the bass in the low end there is nice and sort of, like it's thick and ready, but at the same time, it's not pushing too hard either. It snakes its way around those drum parts really neatly, provides a nice undercurrent for the guitar and keys, and ultimately fills out the frequency spectrum quite neatly. And I think having that kind of electric bass tone there as opposed to a synthesizer or something like that just kind of provides a more sort of grounded aesthetic to it. Ultimately, the various chord progressions and melodies thematically are well fleshed out there. The extendeds offer a sense of emotional sophistication to it, which makes it seem like more of a mature composition and more sort of varied and structured from that perspective alone there. And the changing sort of like influences of different resonances between the mids and highs offer a sort of diversity there, even if we're not necessarily changing the chords around that much. And I think when you've got that main sort of vocal lead providing enough differentiation, the chord progression simply has to provide that sort of lo-fi aesthetic to kind of sit upon and provide that sort of, yeah, that atmosphere, that ambience. So I think thematically there, you know, it's kind of a very gentle major. It's not trying to be too chirpy or cheery. I think predominantly because they're not trying to seem too happy about the position they're in, even though they're clearly grateful for having this person in their life and the connection that they have, or at least are working towards having, even though they're trying to take it slow. Studio recording, mixing and mastering wise, bearing in mind that we're working towards mixing and mastering this, I still think that this demo sounds great. I like the way that things are balanced in terms of the guitars, bass, drums, and keys, etc. I can only imagine that once you got the finishing touches on it, it's gonna be really cool. And I mean that sincerely. It's great to have musicians that can kind of get these raw ingredients put together like this with the understanding of music theory and composition and performance that they have, so that when they get into post, they don't necessarily need to do anything particularly Herculean in order to get it to work. And so, yeah, the vocals are nice and present as well. And I think actually the lack of overproduction on this at this point kind of makes it seem a bit more sort of like organic and acoustic in a way. And I kind of dig that feel to it. I think there's a space in the industry for less overproduced music. But, you know, it's great bones to begin on. Nice little bit of pumping, bus compression. Well, I mean, it's going to be handled. No applicable constructive critique for me. I think at 2 minutes 20, it's a nice, short, sweet experience there. If you've had Glasses material before, I presume when this is finally released, it's going to be great. From a general listener's perspective, it's just a nice way to start the day reviewing music like this. It's just kind of, it's quietly feel good. And sometimes music can be a very intense experience where the musician kind of wants to throw you under the bus and have the wheels go over your head until you feel what they're saying. Here, Glass is just more like hey, this is my situation and I'm quietly grateful for it and I just want to share it. And I think that that's a special thing to be able to sort of be a part of. So I wish everyone involved all the best of luck in future. But thank you for watching my review of this track from Glas titled Too Honest, the demo. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please to go check him out via the various social medias. And I'm sure this will be on all digital streaming platforms once it's ready. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.